Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I'm George. We're all George. So, unfortunately, more FTX drama. The contagion spreads. Some bad spreading, to say the least. But there's one guy that is still defending Sam. Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful. Let's talk about why he would still invest in SBF. What's the deal with that? All right, guys, welcome. Let's talk about the contagion. You know, just this morning I thought, hey, you know, the drama disappeared, but no, there's more. It is spreading now to the Fed, to the government, and that's not good. All of a sudden, you have banking giants and a New York Fed. They're going to start piloting a digital dollar for about 3 months. The timing of it, why now? We've been hearing about the digital dollar for quite some time. All of a sudden, after the collapse, now we see them start testing it out. It makes you wonder, did they plan this all along? Coincidence? It just happens that it's starting now, right? We may never know, but I would say this is part of the contagion because now, unfortunately, with this major collapse, you have a lot of people fearful about crypto, about unregulated exchanges, and about people who run them, right? And overall, you got to realize that the Fed and the banks, they know what blockchain and decentralized finance and Bitcoin is all about. It's to destroy them. They're not oblivious to that. So I do think they're feeling the pressure, but they're taking an opportunity right now to say, hey, why not? Why not do it now, right? Especially after the collapse. And also here, look at this. Senate banking chair warns crypto could crash our financial system, right? I thought this kind of this line of thinking was out the window. But now it's back once again because, again, the opportunity exists for everyone to start bashing on crypto and bashing on exchanges and bashing on bad actors and basically, you know, portraying the whole entire space being bad, right? So unfortunately, we know a lot of regulators, a lot of regulations, a lot of laws, a lot of KYC, stuff like that is going to be coming because of FTX collapse. But it's already here. People are already taking advantage of the situation. So unfortunately, it's starting, right? But I think it's just very, very odd, particular that the digital dollar all of a sudden just starts piloting days after the collapse, right? You got to think about that. Anyways, as for SBF, you know, he likes to play games on Twitter, and people speculated he was doing this because he was deleting old messages and replacing them with new ones, and somehow people would not notice, and the Twitter bot will not notice him deleting old tweets. I don't know if that's true, but he finally broke his silence and then started tweeting this again. I'm sure if he had any lawyers, which probably does, his lawyers are probably telling him, don't tweet. But anyways, so he says, to the best of my knowledge, as of post 11/7, with the potential for errors, Alameda had more assets and liabilities, okay? But that's also counting assets than liability. You got to realize he was counting FTT as an asset, right? But FTT is backed by nothing. It was backed by basically the strength and the trust of FTX. And if you don't have the strength or trust of FTX, the assets are worth zero. So you can't really say they had more assets than liability. That doesn't make any sense because most of the asset, the $8 billion of FTT that was loaned to Alameda, that's zero now, right? So that doesn't even make sense. Anyways, A. And then B is Alameda had margin position on FTX International. Okay, meaning that they borrowed from FTX. Probably a zero interest loan, right? Because SBF gave it to Caroline. And then C, FTX US had enough to repay all customers. That I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe they still do, right? Because FTX.US is supposed to be a separate entity, although I've seen charts that say otherwise. There's money flowing in and out of all these entities, in one pocket, out another, and it's just real wild, okay? But anyways, to continue, my one goal is to do right by customers. I'm contributing what I can to doing so. I'm meeting in person with regulators and working with the teams to do what we can for customers, after that investors, but first customers. I don't know what that means. He probably has to do that anyways. You have to work with the regulators anyways because they are trying to figure out what's going on. So I don't know if he's trying to say, hey, you know what, I'm trying to do my best here. That's no. And then finally, my goal, clean up and focus on transparency, make customers whole. All right. So, I mean, I don't know what you get out of this. Just like that New York Times interview, which he basically said, I'm doing okay. I'm playing video games. I'm sleeping well. It could be worse, but, you know, it's pretty good because I'm still trapped in my $35 million mansion. And, you know, life is good. Right? Like, I don't know what to think. Maybe, I don't know, maybe this is just who he is. Maybe he's a psychopath or a sociopath. I don't know how you define it. Maybe he's delusional at this point. I don't know. But the contagion, of course, is still spreading. It turns out Celsius, which is already in bankruptcy, it turns out that they're owed $12 million from Alameda. So that's $12 million less that Celsius is going to get back. And that's $12 million probably less that will go back to depositors or clients, right? And I don't know what's going on with Celsius, whether or not they're going to have an auction for their assets. But turns out that now they're going to be even shorter than before, $12 million shorter because Alameda owes them, I don't know, or Celsius deposited into Alameda. I'm not even sure what that $12 million represents. And also Celsius is, they have a lot of miners that's stored with Core Scientific, and Core Scientific also recently declared bankruptcy, but Core Scientific claims that Celsius owes $5 million in unpaid bills. Okay, so Celsius is in a really bad position. They owe $5 million to Core Scientific, and now they just lost another $12 million because Alameda Research went under. I mean, that's $17 million right there. So Celsius is not doing good at all. Silvergate, which is a crypto bank, their stock is tanking because they have ties with FTX. So it says here, Silvergate has no outstanding loans or investments in FTX. FTX is not a custodian for Silvergate's Bitcoin collateralized SEN leverage loans. To be clear, our relationship with FTX is limited to deposits, meaning that they had, I don't know, crypto, and they deposited into FTX. They weren't using them as a custodian, but they still deposited their own funds with FTX. Who knows how much that is? They don't know. I mean, no one knows. They haven't publicly declared it. But, of course, people are fearful, and their stock is tanking, right? So the contagion is spreading right now. And again, it's just unfortunate because of this. And let's not forget BlockFi. BlockFi was the best of all the lenders. They still had their withdrawals still open up until 2 days ago. And that's because FTX made a big deal with BlockFi, presented them with a $400 million credit line, and they promised basically they would buy BlockFi for $240 million. Unfortunately, all that went away. BlockFi says they have enough assets, right? They have options, but bankruptcy is a real possibility. So again, another project that had ties with FTX, and unfortunately, they look like they're going under too. But who knows? They say they have more than enough assets, and they're going to explore all options. So maybe they can find a suitor and maybe get past this. But yeah, outside of those things, that hacker, which we all know is an insider, that hacker's been selling all of the tokens they hacked and combining them into one giant ETH pile. So that hacker now holds 228,000 ETH, roughly $284 million. They are one of the largest, the 35th largest owner of Ethereum. Right? What do they plan on doing with that? If they're trying to cash out, it'll be near impossible. So the best case scenario is they basically store it in a cold wallet, and then it never gets touched again because they all get thrown in jail, right? But if you think about it, that's a good thing. That means now you have $284 million worth of ETH that will basically be taken off from circulation forever, kind of like Satoshi's pile, right? You could think about it that way because there's just no way in hell that you're able to cash out that much, especially when all the scrutiny is on, you know, the founders of FTX, or maybe they're not the founders, but the main guys of FTX, right? But yeah, there's still that. But you know, this drama just continues on and continues on, right? Just a lot of stuff going on. And then I saw this. A lot of you guys know Rand from Crypto Banter, right? Despite all of the things that has come out the last few days, right, about using customer assets, using leverage, okay, possibly counter trading, and also collapsing the likes of Luna and Three Arrows and everyone else, right, for their own personal gain. Plus, on top of that, all the lobbying, right? The connection to Gary Gensler, to the Democrats, right? There's just a lot of stuff happening. Despite all of those things, everything that has happened, Mr. Wonderful Kevin O'Leary still believes in Sam, still believes that he is a good guy. Now, I don't know if this is just trying to cover up, basically, I mean, because his involvement, right? A lot of us was involved. But Kevin O'Leary probably more so than anyone, because not only was he a paid spokesperson, but he was also an investor. He has done many interviews where he said Sam Bankman-Fried is a genius. He's going to be like a trillionaire. And he went on and on and on and on and on about him. And even after all this, even after everything that I've been telling you guys, listen to this. Okay? Even after Rand poses an interesting question, been telling you guys. So listen take a look at this. Okay? Even after Rand poses an interesting question.
That have failed before because they've got more experience, they've failed before. If SBF knocked on your door again and said, look, I failed in my last venture, I have a new crypto venture, I need money, would you back him?
That's a great question. No one's asked me yet. I think we can all admit, you can love him or hate him given what's happened, but he was one of the most brilliant traders in the crypto universe. He also built one of the most robust platforms. We used FTX actively. It was a very robust platform that allowed us to get information on a compliant basis. So I really like what he built.
Would you back him?
The answer would be yes. And I'll tell you how I would do it.
Even Rand couldn't believe it. Despite everything, he still had nothing but good things to say about SBF. He's a brilliant trader, one of the best crypto traders ever. He built a brilliant app, right? And he would still invest in SBF if he approached him in the future for some other venture, right? It's kind of wild to think about it. I don't know. Again, I don't know if he's just covering for himself or he truly believes that. Probably the first option, but it's just wild to really hear him say it. But anyways, yeah, let's just leave it at that. Yeah. As for Serum tokens, okay, we know that Solana has been damaged. The Contagion spread to Solana Foundation. They had a ton of SRM tokens locked up at FTX, all gone. And Serum was taking a nosedive. Same thing with Solana tokens. But interesting enough, Serum, the project, which is a decentralized DEX on Solana, decided to fork themselves, right, and kind of start over. I don't know. Of course, everyone will probably vote yes because they want to see them, you know, out of the contagion of FTX. But still, to be able to just fork your way out of it, and then I guess all the Serum tokens that were locked up on FTX just somehow kind of disappears, right? You could see, yeah, the divergence there. And now, like, the circulating supply or token supply is off now, and there's something just, it's not 100% correct. I don't know, actually, to be honest, exactly what they did with the token supply and stuff. If they only removed what was locked from the Solana Foundation, or there's more to it, I don't quite know, but it happened, and then I guess Serum tokens doubled in price afterwards. Again, it's unfortunate that they were caught in contagion. I've said same thing about Solana itself. It's not their fault. It's not their fault FTX holds so much SOL tokens. It's not their fault that SBF and Alameda was so invested in Solana and Solana-based projects, right? They were caught into it. But, you know, I don't know if this is the right move. I don't know, as a decentralized project, you just all say, okay, let's vote to, you know, let's all vote to just get rid of all the lost tokens and we just move on, right? You guys decide. As a decentralized project, I think that probably should not have been done. But of course, I know everyone's going to vote for it because everyone does not want to lose money and does not want to see their Serum tokens drop like 70% within a few days. I get it. But still, that just seems a little off. This is kind of like what Charles is saying. Charles has been saying this for a while. Basically, even if Cardano ever gets hacked, okay, very seriously, he will not roll back the chain because he believes a decentralized project should not have the ability to do that. Because if you do, well, then it's not really decentralized, right? This argument has been debated over and over again for a long time. Ethereum had this happen very early on. Their DAO was hacked. They rolled and basically forked off into the new Ethereum, and the old Ethereum stayed as Ethereum Classic, right? And we have heard of other projects also do this, but for some true diehard decentralized guys, they're like, no, you can't do that. For everyone else, they're like, yeah, it's for the greater good, right? So depends on how you look at it. Anyways, so that's everything with FTX, the contagion, the drama. There's just more of it every single day. But unfortunately, you know, besides just crypto projects, now you have the Fed and the banks. They're jumping all over this right now because it's, for them, it's like the prime opportunity, right? Prime opportunity to do so. All right, what else is there? SEC, you know, they're still delaying a Bitcoin ETF. Gary Gensler's in hot water right now, right? So we will see. A lot of people think that once they open up a true Bitcoin spot ETF, it's going to change Bitcoin forever, meaning there's going to be billions and possibly trillions entering the market. And the SEC does not want that, especially not before they take full control. So that may be the reason why they have not approved the ETF yet, but maybe one will be coming soon, or maybe not. I mean, or maybe Gary is going to resign soon because of the connection with SBF and Caroline and that whole circle. I'm sure most of you guys seen, I've shown it before. There's this big circle connection there, and it's not a coincidence at all, right? Not a coincidence at all. What else is there? Well, of course, for Bitcoin, I've told you guys, don't give up on Bitcoin. Don't give up on Bitcoin. It has seen times like this, right? Sometimes it sucks, especially short term, but we get past it, right? Kind of like some of the previous times when we had major crashes. We had that COVID crash, of course, right? We had a Bitfinex crash. We had a Mt. Gox crash. We have a lot of crashes. So in 2022, we could label a FTX crash, or we could label it Luna crash. We could label a lot for 2022. But nevertheless, I do believe we will recover from this and we will move past it. So don't give up, right? There's too much at stake to be giving up. And of course, there's a lot of metrics and models, on-chain stuff that I've been showing you guys, right? That is just showing that we are at a historic low level, right? So many things are pointing that this is a great, great time to be not only holding, but DCAing. So that's also fantastic. Now, there's a couple other things I want to talk about that really has nothing to do with crypto, but they're pretty big news, so I have to cover it. Number one is a lot of people are talking about this, a little worrisome. During the afternoon, there was a missile strike at the border of Poland, which killed 2 civilians, unfortunately. They don't know who did it, whether it is the Russians or someone else that did it. There was a lot of fear. Well, I would say not was. There still is a lot of fear about, is World War III happening, right? Is NATO going to take action? As of right now, they're saying no. Even Poland said this is an isolated incident, but they're on standby. They're watching. And obviously, if this escalates, which no one wants, right? It's go get ugly, and then it will turn into World War III. So hopefully, this was just an accident, and it's isolated. So that's a big thing we got to keep our eyes on. And of course, a lot of you guys also saw this. Trump is relaunching his campaign for 2024. And I'm not gonna talk about my thoughts on that, but I'm just sharing because that's on the front page of CNBC right now. All right, guys. Overall, Bitcoin, you know what? Slow and steady upward trending up to about 17,000, close to it. We have a really hard time breaking 17K. There's something going on at 17K. I think the bears are, again, trying to make a stand at 17K. Every time we hit it, we drop back down. Every time we hit it, we drop back down, but we're inching closer and closer and closer. And that 17K happens to be also at this trend line, which I have just extended out. I have not moved it, just, extended it. That may be the reason why there's such a resistance there, because, again, once you break above 17K, then you're once again above the trend line. Could be that. And we could see some tremendous gains afterwards, especially if we get some short squeezes, because we know the shorts are piling on at this point, right? Hopefully the contagion slows down, the fear slows down and dissipates, and then we could have some good traction back up. We're only in the second week of November, right? So we still have 2 good weeks left, and then we got December. Hopefully we don't waste it. All right, let's do some Q&A. All right. Scrolling up here. Kevin has ulterior motives. Kevin would also give money to Do Kwon too. He's not enough wrecked. Kevin is drunk. I don't know. What does Kevin say after that? Well, I mean, bottom line, he gives some stipulations. He's like, okay, I wouldn't give him the keys to trade anymore. And there's a few other things. But ultimately, and there's another part in front of the interview where he asked about who is SBF. And he said some really good things about him. Like, he is the nicest guy. Like, you're not going to find a kinder soul. 9 out of the 10 people I talked to say that, SBF is the nicest guy. I mean, he had nothing but good things to say. He's doubling down on his decision to be so entrenched into FTX. So it's just surprising. Digibyte never hacked 60 million blocks and counting. Well, I think that's true. I don't recall ever hearing Digibyte being hacked, but Digibyte seems to have lost all traction. But it does have that cool 5 hashing algorithm that powers the chain. So that's pretty cool about it. Solana lost 700 million valuation thanks to FTX. Yes. I don't blame. A lot of people think, oh, I'm a Solana hater. No, I don't. I kept my bag. It sucks going down 50-70%. But I've always said Solana is an interesting L1. Great in 2021. Then kind of suffer because of all the network attacks. Network failures and network attacks. But ultimately, they still have a really good shot to do well in the future. But they got caught in the crossfire and got dragged down by FTX, and that's where we are. Dion, FTX to the moon. Decay Grim says, I won't give up. Good. Right attitude. I'm surprised we don't hear more about Gary Gensler being investigated. There's a lot of heat on him. So I don't know if the press is purposely keeping that out, but you know he's being investigated right now. All right. Ernie says, I heard George made an offer on SBS home in the Bahamas. True. I don't know, especially after those wild sex parties. I don't know, man. I don't know if that's a good place to live in afterwards. Not sure why you always hate on XRP. Ripple are fighting a war for all of us. Hey, I don't think Ali, I don't think you've been paying attention because I have said Ripple is fighting war. That is very important. I want them to win. It's very important for all of crypto. They're the only ones really fighting against Gensler at this point, right? So I've said those things. Now, I don't like XRP because I don't like the way their business model, right, of selling XRP to banks and financial industries as a bridge currency. I don't like that model. But that's it. I am rooting for Ripple to win. Will Brady play till his 50s to gain lost money? I don't know. You know, this whole thing about him and Giselle putting 650 million FTX, I don't buy that. I don't buy that they're that careless to put all of their fortunes in FTX. If it happened, then yes, he's going to be playing for a long time until he gets injured. I don't know how he's ever going to recoup that, but I just don't believe that happened. They probably invested a good amount, probably the same amount as Kevin O'Leary. I don't know how much that is, probably in the millions for sure. Nasty image. Ben Simmons has been liquidated as well. I don't know if you're kidding about that. Elon tweeted he's buying MicroStrategy. No, he's not. No, he didn't. I think you're lying there. Help me understand. Flare Airborne is asking, help me understand. FTX nukes Luna to make money. Alameda owns Luna, and they nuke themselves. From what I've gathered, nuking Luna was accidental, and they may have shot themselves in the foot. That's what I'm hearing. I've heard that ITrustCapital was intentional, but Luna was like almost accidental. They didn't mean it for it to happen, and it did. And maybe that's when they realized how much power they had. That's why they did it with ITrustCapital. That's from my understanding. But, you know, I'm sure this will leak out after investigation happens, right? this will leak out, and then we'll finally find the truth. Arvin, what do you think about people saying XRP will be used from banks all over? I say good luck to that thought. It's not going to happen. The banks are already going against XRP. They're already creating their own coins and utilizing other cryptos that they're creating. So I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't seem very likely at this point. Maybe it happens. Gary also helps suppress gold and silver prices. I hear that a lot from gold guys, that the only reason why gold never moves is because Wall Street is suppressing gold prices with paper gold, right? I don't know if that's something that could be looked at by the SEC. I'm sure, and maybe Gary's turning a blind eye to it. I don't quite know what's going on there. Rich, man, appreciate your super chats. Who's good replacement for Gensler? Hopefully not Peter Schiff. He'll be even worse than Gensler at that position. You know, I don't know, like, here's the thing. You know, CZ, basically he did an interview saying he couldn't go through with the FTX buy because of the giant hole, and plus the regulators, right? Ultimately, he said he was going to do it just to save crypto, because he's like, they don't have better technology, they don't have more users, there's a huge overlap, but basically we're trying to save crypto. But then, you know, all the scrutiny from regulators, they didn't want any of that, and plus the giant hole, right? But maybe CZ and Binance could do something for I don't know, maybe they could stop the contagion. That's what I'm trying to say, right? Celsius is still looking for a suitor. Maybe they could come in and buy Celsius. They already know what they owe. Maybe they can help. Maybe they can take over Voyager. They're still in limbo. Maybe they can help with BlockFi, right? Maybe CZ can help the industry by taking up some of these companies that FTX is trying to eye, right? But then again, you know, a lot of people will be very wary about that, because now you have Binance, who's already the biggest exchange, right, now owning even more. Right? So I don't know if that's really good either, right? But outside of FTX, you know, Coinbase is not making any moves. There's no other exchange that has really any money. So it's just Binance. And maybe CZ will, you know, come in and kind of try to save a few bits and pieces. You know, try to make Voyager and Celsius whole, maybe. I don't know. I'm just speculating. Maybe BlockFi whole, maybe any other project that has been decimated. I don't know. Chicago Brew, no. Yeah, I'd be a really bad politician. I'd be really bad at leading any agencies. No, that's not a job for me. Through all this, ADA's still holding pretty strong. ADA is holding strong, but then again, you know, it didn't climb nearly as much as some of the others beforehand. I think that's partly the reason. But otherwise, you know, I did say with Solana, you know, collapsing, a lot of the money came out, went into other big caps. I said Polygon was a main candidate and Cardano was another one, so partly it's due to that as well. You know Gensler's checks cleared. Do you have any stats on current OpenSea? Oh, there is another casualty that not a lot of people are talking about, and that is what's that project? Chain. I think it's this project Chain. Maybe it's this one or another one. But the CEO of a company called Chain, who's primarily on Solana, lost a lot of money recently, and they had like the greatest NFT collection I've ever seen with like 7 or 8 crypto punks and equal amount of Bored Apes and some of the rarest ones we have ever seen. And he's auctioning all off because of how much money they lost with FTX. Not a lot of people talking about that, but I just caught that story today, and that's unfortunate because some of the NFTs he's selling, he paid like, I don't know, thousands of ETH for, and now it's probably selling pennies on a dollar. This is the worst time to be selling NFTs right now. What are your thoughts on people saying they're moving to stocks and moved over from stocks to crypto because of shit like FTX? I believe in crypto. You know what? I think the first is more true at this point. A lot of people come into crypto not because they believe in decentralization, not because they really believe in having a decentralized chain that no one controls, right? The ability to control and safeguard your own money without anyone saying yes or no to what you do with it, right? And also the concept of getting away from banks, because you can't trust banks. You can't trust the Fed. They're not looking out for your best interest. They're looking out for their own best interest, right? These kind of stuff most people don't care about when they get in. They just care about, hey, is Bitcoin going to pump? Is Solana going to pump? Is Dogecoin going to pump? And when they don't pump, they leave, right? But fortunately, every time we have a FOMO run, people come in, more people learn about some of these things and stay. So that's why every cycle that we have, even though we make lows, but these new lows are higher than the previous lows because we have more people that stayed in and understand, right? So that's the nature of it. But very rarely do you have people come in because they want something that's truly, kind of outside of the current financial world. Something that allows them to unplug from everything else. That's not what most people are looking for. Did you see Palm destroyed at CNBC host? No, someone told me about it. I'm going to watch that video after I stream this. It sounds pretty good. And Jim Cramer, of all people, called out Palm today. Did you see that? Did you guys see that tweet? I don't know what it is. Jim Cramer and Pomp, they were good buddies, and all of a sudden he calls him out. I don't know what the deal is with that, but I want to see that interview. Will I be speaking at Ripple Swell? Hey, if Brad wants to invite me on stage, I'll show the most educational video anyone has ever seen at that conference. Way more educational than anything any of the guest speakers will say at the event. So that's an open offer to Brad. If you want to invite me, pay for my trip, my accommodations, I will show the most educational video about Ripple ever created. I see everyone really missing the video. We need you to create your own exchange. No thanks. I don't want that pressure or scrutiny. That's just too much for me. Well, the good thing is, even with the contagion, right, even though I covered a lot of stuff that's spreading, right now still seems better than when Luna collapsed. Because when Luna collapsed, man, first of all, it was just such a giant project. So many people lost money. I did too. A vast amount, and so many people just lost so much on it. But not only that, you know, the contagion for Luna was just so far reaching. Like, so many projects went under. Right now with FTX seems very limited. No, I take that back. Not very limited. More limited versus when Luna collapsed. It's still very bad. And to have such a major exchange go belly up like this is not good. Bring a lot of regulators, their eyes, their scrutiny is coming, right? But as for crypto projects right now, seems to be limited. The worst casualty is Solana right now, and maybe Serum, but outside of those two, relatively okay, I guess. Bitcoin, also a casualty, now below 17,000, which sucks, but you know what? Bitcoin will get through it. It always does. And who knows? We just need Michael Saylor to pump that 500 million into the market, and maybe we go right back up to 19 and 20,000 again, and we start over. People really love my educational video. Favorite altcoin at this point? My favorite one would probably be Polygon. I mean, I think Polygon is doing great things despite this downtrend that we're in. I think they're really set up to do really good things in the future. All right, guys. I'll let you go overall. Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary, still believes that SBF is a good guy. He would trust him again and would invest in his future project. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with that. But you know what? SBF, you know, still sitting in his mansion, still tweeting away as the contagion spreads. You know what? It's unfortunate, but we will get through it. So stay strong, my friends. All right, and tune in tomorrow, 8:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. Last few super chats. Dr. Oz, Dr. O, thank you. And how is buying OTC and then dumping on exchanges even legal? It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, but it is right now. But keep in mind, there's a risk to it as well. All right, guys. Take care. Have a good night. See you tomorrow.